Thank you. Let's find out how the protests in Hong Kong will impact the U.S.-China trade war. Joining us now, a Brookings senior fellow, David Dollar. David Dollar to talk currencies. You must get that a lot, David.
Yeah,
anyway,
Yeah, I've got the right name for the topic.
You do. Heritage Found it better than I don't know, the lira, the yen, or something like that. Anyway, Heritage Foundation trade economist Tori Whiting. Either one of you, I'll start with you, David. Do you see some type of sort of a neutral outcome to what happens in Hong Kong now? Or I just see all kinds of scary scenarios on both sides of this.
No, I agree with you. It's very scary. I think it's hard to see a neutral outcome. The Hong Kong authorities are really dug in. They suspended consideration of this controversial extradition bill, but they really need to withdraw it. They need to set up an independent commission to investigate the police activity. Probably Carrie Lam has to resign. So there are things the Hong Kong authorities could do that would diffuse the situation. They don't seem to be moving in that direction, so the protests continue on. I think the assembly of the Chinese military on the other side of the border, I think Plan A is just to scare the protesters a bit. But if things get out of hand, then Plan B is going to be to send in the military, and that's really going to be a disaster.
Tori, your view, and what does it mean for managing the currency, as we've heard that they like to talk about? They're going to continue to manage it in a floating fashion.
Well, really what the thing is here on the business side is that businesses thrive on certainty for the future. And right now, these protests are not providing a certain and predictable environment for businesses in Hong Kong and China at large. And so we'll continue to see that as an issue. That, coupled with the uncertainty with the trade war, spoils trouble. And I think what's important here is that the United States needs to be supporting the individual rights of the people of Hong Kong to be free and independent. And the United States needs to be supporting those efforts while also keeping the trade discussions separate.
So how does it play into President Xi and President Trump and the dynamic there with a possible trade deal? Is it in a separate compartment in President Xi's mind, do you think, Tori?
Well, I can't speak for what is in President Xi's mind, but I think from the U.S. perspective, they should remain separate. We need to be seeking an amicable agreement between the United States and China, and that means that the trade stuff has to be the trade stuff. And so we need to be focusing on things like intellectual property rights, investment restrictions, and those sorts of issues. These are broader issues of economic freedom in China as well, which I think you see at the dichotomy between mainland China and Hong Kong. But between the U.S. and China, in terms of economy, those things need to remain separate.
David, I may have been born at night, but it wasn't last night. President Xi knows there's an election coming up here. President Trump knows that he's got these protests in Hong Kong. Don't you think that both sides would be looking to gain some type of edge based on the specific situation that each faces and respectively in different countries?
Right. So I think both sides are constrained by politics. Because China is an authoritarian country, we tend to forget they have their own complicated politics. They've got very active social media. A lot of social media on the mainland is speculating that the U.S. is somehow behind these protests in Hong Kong, which is absolutely not true. But that complicates it. President Trump is looking at his re-election possibilities. So the economics is hard enough. Leaving out politics, it would be hard for these two sides to negotiate a good trade deal that each is happy with. Then you bring in the politics, and it seems very unlikely they're going to reach a deal in the next few months.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to leave it there and watch very closely and with great interest in how things work out. I think all of us are hoping that it's I don't know. You hear troop buildup and anyway, David, Tori, thank you.